If you believe you're too smart to fall for a romance scam, that belief might be your first vulnerability. She thought the same thing. She was careful, analytical, educated. She didn't send money to strangers. She didn't trust easily. And for weeks, nothing felt suspicious. The conversations were consistent. The emotions felt gradual. The connection felt earned. There were no obvious red flags, no dramatic warning signs, just attention, consistency, understanding. And that's exactly why it worked. Because romance scams don't begin with money, they begin with emotional precision. This is why smart people still fall for romance scams. You're probably thinking, she should have known. That's the common reaction. But here's what most people don't realize. Romance scam victims are not reckless, they are not unintelligent, and they are rarely impulsive. Many are educated, professionally successful, financially stable, emotionally mature. So the real question isn't, how could someone fall for this? The real question is, what exactly makes it work? Because romance scams don't defeat intelligence, they bypass it. They don't overwhelm logic with chaos. They quietly sequence emotions in a way that makes logic feel unnecessary. And by the time money enters the conversation, the decision no longer feels financial, it feels personal. In this video, we're going to walk through that sequence. The attention, the emotional conditioning, the psychological switch, and the moment logic quietly steps aside. And if you want to understand these patterns before they reach you, stay with me. Because once you understand the structure, you stop blaming the victim and you start recognizing the pattern. It started with discipline. That's what made it believable. He wasn't overly romantic. He wasn't reckless with words. He didn't rush intimacy. He introduced himself as deployed military, engineering division, stationed overseas. His profile reflected order, structure, service, and he moved slowly. Every morning, a message. Every night, a check-in. He remembered what she said about work. He asked about her mother's appointment. He followed up on small details. That's how trust forms. Not through grand gestures, through consistency. Weeks passed before he said anything intimate. You're easy to talk to. Then later, you understand me in a way most people don't. It didn't feel like manipulation. It felt earned. And at this stage, nothing illegal had happened. No money, no emergency, just attention. But something had already shifted. She wasn't talking to a profile anymore. She was talking to someone who felt present. And that presence is powerful. The first time she suggested a video call, he didn't refuse. He explained, operational security restrictions. Cameras weren't allowed in certain areas. Live video could compromise location. Military protocol was strict. It sounded reasonable. After all, he was deployed. He sent photos instead. Uniform pictures, casual selfies, gym shots, images that looked real because they were real, just not live. The second time she asked, there was a time zone complication. It's 3 a.m. here, or I'm heading into a briefing, or the signal on base is unstable. Every excuse on its own made sense. That's the architecture. Scammers don't aggressively deny verification. They delay it, strategically. They replace real-time proof with controlled proof, pre-recorded images, voice notes sent hours later, excuses layered with authority language, operational contingency, restricted bandwidth, security clearance. Technical words reduce suspicion, military framing increases credibility, and time zones complete the wall. If it's midnight for her and afternoon for him, inconsistencies become invisible. Strange reply times feel normal. Missed calls feel logistical. And here's the subtle shift. Each time verification was postponed, it felt temporary, not suspicious, temporary. And temporary delays rarely trigger alarm. By the time she noticed the pattern, she had already emotionally adjusted to it. Verification began to feel awkward, almost accusatory. She didn't want to seem distrustful, because distrust would threaten the relationship. And that's when the wall becomes internal. She stopped pushing, not because she believed everything, but because she wanted everything to be true. The emergency didn't come abruptly. It was introduced gradually. A payment delay, a document complication, a banking restriction tied to deployment status. He sounded frustrated, not desperate. I hate even telling you this. That line matters, because now the request isn't transactional, it's emotional. By this point, she had invested weeks, time, attention, hope, and walking away now would mean admitting the connection wasn't real. That's the sunk cost effect. The more you invest emotionally, the harder it becomes to withdraw, even when logic whispers caution. Then urgency enters, a deadline, a fee, a narrow window to resolve the issue. Urgency changes the brain. When someone you care about sounds distressed, your mind shifts from analysis to protection. And because he was military, disciplined, structured, serving overseas, authority bias reinforced the decision. Uniforms lower suspicion. Status reduces doubt. By the time she sent the first payment, it didn't feel like risk. It felt like support. The second request came softer, less urgent, more apologetic. And this time, hesitation felt like betrayal, not of him, of the relationship. Then something changed. Replies shortened. Warmth faded slightly. Video calls became impossible again. More contingencies, more security explanations, more time zone complications. And then, one morning, silence. Profile unavailable. Account deleted. No argument, no warning, just absence. And absence is when clarity arrives. Not during the emergency, not during the payment, but after the disappearance, when the structure becomes visible in hindsight. And that's the part people misinterpret. They assume the scam began with money. It didn't. It began the first time verification was replaced with explanation. It wasn't stupidity, it was structure. Romance scams don't succeed because people are foolish. They succeed because the manipulation is gradual. Verification is delayed, not denied. Excuses are logical, not chaotic. Emotions are built, not rushed. And by the time money appears, the real transaction has already happened. Trust. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If someone avoids live video repeatedly, hides behind security restrictions, blames time zones for inconsistency, replaces verification with explanation, you are not in a relationship. You are inside a system. A system designed to reduce suspicion before increasing stakes. And once you understand that system, you stop asking, how could someone fall for this? You start asking, where is the verification gap? Slow emotional escalation. Test spontaneous availability. Insist on live interaction early. Break secrecy immediately. Because secrecy protects scammers, exposure protects you. Romance scams don't target intelligence, they target isolation. And the moment you feel uncomfortable asking for proof, that's the moment you should ask. If this breakdown helps you see something you hadn't seen before, comment pattern. And if you want to understand how these systems evolve before they reach you, subscribe to Fraud Intelligence. Because awareness is not paranoia, it's protection.